What's going on, guys? CGI here. Welcome back to another video. This one's a little interesting. It's a newer game called The Beginner's Guide. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, honestly. It's made by the same people as the Stanley Parable. So this may or may not get fairly interesting and psychological on me. So be warned, you may get your mind probed. So anyway, we're gonna get started here, and I don't really know much more about this than it's just made by the... Yep, audio's on. We're good. Okay, my WASD are to the controls, and I can click. Okay.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide.
You're welcome.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction.
That's
I
good.
found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Seems legit.
So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda.
Wow.
So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Okay, so this is fairly interesting.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
Whisper machine? What?
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I'm gonna go left. Never mind, I can't go left. I'm gonna go right. This is interesting.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
Oh. I have no ammo.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets.
I noticed,
But ultimately,
actually.
we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the
Oh,
way that
whoa.
it is. And I think that we should talk
Didn't
about
notice
his games
that.
for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Didn't notice that. Oh,
Enemy
hey.
force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I got that
I
intruder.
love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
It's funny. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of recap of what I think is going on here. This guy who made the Stanley Parable, he brought together all of this guy's games because the guy who's creating these games doesn't want to create them anymore, and he's trying to bring them. Oh,
Apparently, this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know.
oh.
There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Yay! Ha! Thank you, buddy. This is actually very cool.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Is this the whisper
Hey,
machine?
You there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature.
My
If you-
buddy.
Your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Wow. I didn't intend to be correct.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh.
The beam causes you to start floating.
Space.
And this is an
a
important
square
moment
room.
for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Interesting. So this guy's... The past was behind her. The past. Who knows? So he's compiling all of his friends... I can't move. I can only jump. I feel like that's a glitch that shouldn't happen.
So try walking backwards.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
In this game, you can only walk backwards.
I don't like this. I feel like something is going to scare me. Oh.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining
Interesting.
motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete.
Whoa.
Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather
Whoa.
than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Whoa. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't seem to talk. How will she find the strength? Oh. Okay.
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that.
I can't
Which
seem to
to me
complete a
is
thought.
why it works, because it gets out quick.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, next one.
I really don't like this.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting.
So far, I'm actually intrigued. These are...
Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all.
That's a bummer.
What are you gonna do? Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all?
I'm falling down if I do that.
I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
You walk around talking to people. A normal game where you have to scream into the mic every 15 seconds to keep playing. A key in one game unlocks a door in a completely separate.
A room that's warm.
It's nothing but giant blocks of text.
Filled with little ideas for games.
Play as a pair of floating eyes emitting footstep noises.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person.
Press U to surrender.
But that it takes time to really see that.
It didn't work.
It can be a very slow climb to get there.
A Stranger Appears. A game of only posters and concept art, showing what the game is intended to be. I'm actually very intrigued by this. I don't know if this is boring to the viewers, but I'm actually intrigued as to what this inside this guy's head. He created games and he just either couldn't focus on them long enough to finish it, or he just was not happy with what the result was.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Oh.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're going to see it a lot.
I wondered, like, in games, you're rarely allowed to do that. Like, where you are allowed to hit a button and walk through the door before it closes.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing.
No
I actually
kidding.
find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Oh, why do I feel like this has been new? I am now exiting.
So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
Man, just so much creativity, and he's doesn't feel like he can share it. It's crazy. that to me, like...
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well.
This is tripping me out here.
The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Man, I wonder if... Oh, no! Oh, got it. Haha. Okay. It's a good thing there's no fall damage. Oh, man, I just can't help wondering why he, like, quit on these. And I can only imagine that... I can only guess from my own experiences. The reason I ever quit stuff that I'm working on is just because I feel like it's not good enough to show. I guess I'm going in here. Guess that's an elevator. Can't get off there.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Aww.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Oh, man.
It's the puzzle again.
Yep.
With the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
I wonder if... I'm gonna turn that on. I really wish that I could turn off the music, because it's almost overpowering his voice. So yeah, as I was saying...
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Did you come from above? Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Again, perfect. Now tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. I'm just gonna say, trust me, you don't want to go over there. Oh no, but I do. Do you understand? It's the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you there's nothing I want more. Well, you're gonna let me out. Why don't you just go through this door? No, I've been here this entire time. No, we actually find the blank black space between these doors far more interesting. Have you seen it? Yeah, I've seen it. Don't think too hard about it. Oh, your head's a little... You're leaning to the side, that's what's up. This Coda character is very interesting. The way...
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
He had so much creativity, and like creating these levels is crazy, like just on his own. But he just quit. I find that
it's a lamppost.
Sad. It's
okay,
Narnia.
I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost.
Because of Narnia.
It's going to appear at the end of every
Obviously.
single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination.
I'd say Narnia is a destination.
We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them.
That's good.
And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
I like clear ideas. Fade to black! This game is connected to the internet, but what if it's not? So it's like Dark Souls. Nice room. Not. Oh no.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person.
I have to be friends.
In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
Secret.
Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them.
Oh my goodness, there's so many.
To me, they convey a sense of loneliness.
I would agree with that.
I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Saw a flying penguin, let me tell you, is the most majestic thing I've ever seen. I don't feel like living because
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing.
Yeah.
I could just get to know you through your work.
Well, and the way that...
This is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world.
Man.
And then I feel less lonely too.
This makes me... Like, I'm kind of getting the... Man, it's like... I need to go to the frickin' bathroom. Recognize me, please. Like, all of these notes. Don't listen to that guy. It's just... Man, it actually makes me, like, kind of sad. Dora, why you so... Like, he spent so much time writing out all those notes out there, and so far, it seems like every single one is different. And he spent so much time working on this. Wow, that's a contradiction in itself. I don't know, I don't feel like I should read every single one. I failed to write anything here. I am compelled. Turn back. It will only result in misery. Like, oh man. Wonder if I can actually go over there. I wanted to see if I can... No, I can't. Okay. What is it, that painting? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you go over there. Oh, man. Like, he doesn't... puts all this time into making this stuff and feels like it's not worth anything. I think I'm... This is not going any... Oh, man. Next time I will do better. I need someone to talk to. This is a note. Don't listen to the other notes. They're not worth it. Man! Just the whole thing. Like, it feels like he's just crying out from his own game. You cannot fall off. Ethical. Well done, all of you. Where is everyone? Stop pretending you are other people. He's saying that to himself. It doesn't mean anything. Like, this is honestly just making me, like... He feels like his work isn't anything. He was, himself, the most horrible creature he could imagine. Just... Oh, wow. That's just like... I don't know, I might be totally wrong on this. But I'm getting the feeling that he just like wanted to create and created by hating.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again.
Oh, I repeated.
And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle was a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Oh man, I hope I'm not right.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
Help.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Alright, kind of scared me for a second. There's a lamppost with a ton of typewriters. Are you there? Please say something. Man. This is like giving me goosebumps.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Well, everyone dies according to his own... I don't know, man. This is like, it gives me goosebumps. Just to like, I'm in his game and reading little notes of how he feels about them.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
Okay. Oh, it's the same one, yeah. What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? Put a giant hole in the ground. That's not it. That's a table. What along the wall? 10 stoves. Those are couches. Yeah, let's light it up. Soft LED ceiling lights with fluorescent trim. Let's put Tesla coils in each corner. That's just the lamp. I don't have the options. Like, these options aren't... Table, you need a table. Like, none of... Yeah.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
This guide, follow the instructions carefully, take care, click on this table. Go over to the photo frame and turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off and then back on. Now go to the left side sofa and move it over a little. Finally touch the shelves. In real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start. What?
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons.
Man.
This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
This is crazy. Man, it's peaceful. Other than it being dark. It's just so... No prison, just a lamppost. Narnia. Hello? Who is this? I'm you from after you escaped the prison. What? You're me? Triple dot. So you were trapped in this prison too.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
I feel like he had no one to talk to. You just felt alone. And the same person. This is just like... Man. He had no one to talk to. And so he made games and talked to himself. Just be sincere. Being sincere with people will free you. I don't know. makes sense. Now that I've confused my older self,
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice?
that's what he didn't have. Wow.
So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Alright, I think I'm going to have to end this here. I'm probably not going to make any cuts in this video. It's just going to be playing straight through. So it's like running on 36 minutes right now, so it's going to be a fairly long video. I think I'm going to continue with this as much as I can. I'd love to record the rest of this. It's so interesting to be in the to go through Coda's levels and to get to experience what he was thinking, what he was feeling, what he was going through. And like, he feels so alone, and I'm getting the impression that he felt that none of what he was creating was good enough, and so he just delete it and completely throw it away. Man, I'm really wondering if this is real. I want to say that it is, but I feel like at the end there's gonna be like this reveal, like, by the way, I was just talking about myself the entire time. I don't know. Oh man, I really want to continue with this. So, thank you guys for watching this episode. If you have made it this far, if you are also interested in this, feel free to leave a like, and let me know in the comment section what's your interpretation of all this. I've kind of been talking about mine this entire time, and I kind of like to, what do you guys think about it? What was running through your mind as you were watching this? I'll see you guys in the next episode. CJ over now. Adios.